we do have advance warning of what Boris Johnson is going to do in order to save his political career, and that's our main news this morning. It's a 50-page dossier. It's due to be made public today, and his lawyers are going to claim that the investigation by MPs into whether he lied to Parliament over the Partygate scandal is unlawful and biased.
The former Prime Minister is going to face a 4-hour interrogation by the Commons Privileges Committee on Wednesday. If it decides against him, he could be suspended from the Commons. It could even trigger a by-election. Our political correspondent, Louisa James, is at Westminster. Louisa, the allies of Boris Johnson are now saying that this is a bombshell dossier which is going to prove that he didn't knowingly mislead Parliament. Are they feeling confident they can win this one?
Well, the word knowingly that you hear in that sentence is the crucial one here, because it goes to the heart of what will be Boris Johnson's defence this week, and that is that when he stood up in the Commons and said there were no parties, that no rules were broken, all guidance was followed, he believed at the time that he was telling the truth. And his team say that this bombshell dossier, which we understand is going to be released this afternoon, will prove that, because it will contain messages sent to Boris Johnson by his aides shortly before he appeared in the Commons, briefing him what to say. They say it shows that he was simply following advice from those he trusted. And we expect him to make that argument himself when he appears before those MPs for the 4-hour grilling on Wednesday, which is going to be televised live. That will surely be a popcorn moment, as one MP put it to me. It will also be a huge moment for Boris Johnson, because it could decide his political future. A big moment for the Conservative Party, who haven't quite decided what to do with him. But also a big moment for those who lost loved ones in the pandemic, who have long called for Boris Johnson to lose his job. After 126 fines and dozens of photographs, not to mention this video.
His fictional party was a business meeting. And it was not socially distant.
Boris Johnson must this week explain why he wasn't lying when he said this.
All guidance was followed completely. I have been repeatedly assured that there was no party and that no COVID rules were broken.
A committee of 7 Tory, SNP and Labour MPs, chaired by Labour's Harriet Harman, will decide whether the former PM misled Parliament, and if so, whether it was deliberate.
This is a parliamentary committee full of politicians, and they'll all have their views that have been formed about the former Prime Minister, about Boris. There's no doubt that people who have been politically opposed to him won't necessarily want to see his return to any senior public office.
Hasta la vista, baby. Thank you.
Partygate may have helped hasten Boris Johnson's departure, but as allies say, a 50-page dossier of evidence will prove the former PM was only repeating in the Commons what he'd been told by staff, even though the committee's initial report said any rule-breaking would have been obvious to him at the time.
The big question for MPs is, can you in good conscience step back from all of this and think about what happened, what Sue Gray said, what the Metropolitan Police said? Those parties were presided over by the leadership within government, who were right there in the room often.
If found guilty, Boris Johnson could be suspended and even lose his seat.
Thank you all very much. Thank you and goodbye. Thank you.
6 months after he left Downing Street, this week could decide his chances of ever coming back. Louisa James, Good Morning Britain.